In the last 12 months, I've personally worked on and I've reviewed well over 500 digital product offers, sales pages, VSLs, ad structures, you name it. And in that same time, my digital products have generated over $6 million in revenue without ever going viral, without having a huge following, no podcasts, no affiliates, none of the madness that a lot of other people tell you. And in this video, I want to show you these 6 most important pieces that I don't know why everybody else isn't talking about this, but the 6 most important pieces of your offer, especially if you want them to scale with cold ad targeting. If you don't want to have to rely on warm audience, you're going to need an offer that absolutely has these 6 things. And all 6 of these have also been verified by a massive study that Google themselves did on hundreds of thousands of transactions. You don't have to go through that 98-page study. I did it for you. We implement it in all of our offers. And in this video, I'm just going to highlight each one of those 6 things and give you some ideas of how you can use them in your offer so it increases the chances that you actually get sales on the regular basis and you don't have to worry about why is my offer suffering. So let's do it. All right, so here's how we're gonna break this down. I'm gonna go in order of each one of these 6 items that you need to have on your sales page. You also can include all 6 of these in your marketing. I'm here to tell you that what is in this video needs to be a part of every aspect of your marketing. This can be your follow-up emails, this can be your ads, this can be posts that you make on social media, but 100% needs to be a part of your sales page because they're hugely important. Now, I want to first break these down because before we actually get into the list, I want to explain why they matter. Now, these are 6 features of a sales page that are called cognitive biases. And the entire idea behind this is when somebody visits your sales page, you don't want to trigger a conscious thought process. So too many of you are making sales pages and you're leaving these elements out. And what's happening is your viewers, the people who are on your page, prospects, maybe they're going to buy from you, because these things are missing, it triggers their conscious mind to go, I need to think about this. Now, in marketing, what we want to do is we want to be able to make sure that people are assured in what they're buying. And so that the conscious mind doesn't have to tick in and go, let me protect you. We need to do these 6 things so that the subconscious mind says, oh, check that box, we're good, let's go. What that allows you to do is it allows you to market to people who don't know you, who don't trust you yet, and helps you generate sales. So these are crucial because when you're trying to market to cold audience, the #1 mistake that most of you guys are making is we're doing the bare minimum, and therefore the conscious mind goes, well, I can put this off, or well, I need to think about it. I don't know this person. And if you do these 6 things that I'm going to talk about right now on your sales page, and you can do them consistently, you can do them in alternative versions, so you don't have to just have them once on your sales page. You can have them all over the place. We do them. We do all 6 of these. We do them frequently all over the page. So let's go ahead and break down in order from 6 to #1. What are the 6 things that you have to have in your sales process to ensure that that conscious mind stays dormant and the unconscious mind makes the decision for them, helping you generate sales every single day with cold ads? So let's start with number 6. Number 6 is something called the power of now. The power of now basically just means, especially when we're selling a digital product, when we're selling something online, we want the audience to realize I can use this immediately. Now, if we think about this in the e-commerce sense, why do you think Amazon has hundreds of millions of people paying them for Amazon Prime? Well, Amazon Prime is a great example of power of now. It's this, how many times have you been on Amazon if you're a Prime member and you look at something and you see 2 items. One can be delivered today between 5 and 10 p.m. and one is delivered in 5 days. You're most likely, even if it's more money, gonna buy the one that can be delivered today because you want it now. Now, that's a really important feature, and in digital products, that's actually inherent, and a lot of people are ignoring this. So we want to make sure on the sales page, we highlight power of now. Not only can you get access right now, but you can actually start getting momentum right now. Now you'll see this all over really good sales pages. The author of the sales page will make sure to reiterate consistently, things like it's a 15-minute transformation, the 7 days. You see this in challenges a lot, like 5-day challenge, because what it allows you to do is it allows you to sort of engage people in a time frame. So now they know, like, okay, cool, I can get this and get an instant dopamine hit. I can get in and get a result now. Now, there's a couple things that I do with my digital products that actually highlight that in a better way. So let's say you're selling a book, you're selling some sort of digital information. For me, it's kind of missing that power of now. Now, sure, if I sell a digital book, they can get access to that book immediately. That has that power of now feature. But what I like to do is I like to make sure my very first module gives people something that they can do to get a benefit immediately within the first 15 to 20 minutes. I'll give you an example. We had a client who was in the relationship space, and he had a buyer loop system, which is what we create for our internal clients, and it was in the healing your marriage through communication. His thesis is communication is the number one thing holding most relationships back. I said, I love that. I agree with you 100%. So he created a digital product teaching couples how to communicate better and about more important topics. So as I'm going over his curriculum, I'm like, this is great. It reads like a book. Love it. People are going to get great information from this. But what can we do immediately that's going to increase their communication? So I came up with this idea. It was one of my better ideas. And I said, hey, can you, right as soon as they get in, before you teach them anything, because let's remember, education is passive. So sure, you want to create a digital product, you want to teach people, but that teaching is very passive. They sit back, they learn, they get a little dopamine hit. Okay, cool, I learned something. And they move on, and then they read another book because they want to fill that dopamine hit again. They don't actually execute on what they just learned. So I like starting with an execution step or some sort of measurability step. So in this case, in this relationship offer, I said, why don't we do this? Since communication is key, let's give them a question that they can go ask their spouse, or a series of questions they can go ask their spouse immediately before learning anything else. That's going to give them a baseline. So we came up with the love language question. If you're familiar with the 5 love languages, he reiterates in there that you should ask your spouse, how's your love tank today? This is a question that most couples don't ask each other. How much I love you, do you feel that today? So that was the very first module in this guy's program. And a lot of the testimonials that came in through that one action. People didn't always go through the entire program, but they did just go have a deeper conversation with their spouse than they've had in 5 years, because they asked a question that wasn't day-to-day mundane. How's the weather? What's the workout for today? What are you going to eat for dinner? Like, we ask those questions all the time. That's not communication. Real communication is, how's your love tank today? And when your wife says 3, guys, you got to go, okay, I'll eat that. What can I do to make it a 6? And now you're finding out what she actually wants you to do. So just through that engagement, through that conversation, you've now made some progress. So what we now get to do on the sales page is we get to reiterate to people immediately after the first module. You're going to be communicating. Literally, you're going to get in, and I'm going to give you a series of prompts that you can follow that are going to enhance your communication today. So now I get to highlight the power of now. This is really important versus saying, you know, if you take my program, you're going to get a benefit in 3 weeks. Well, now my conscious mind ticks in and goes, do I really want to spend 3 weeks doing this? So we like to give people something that they can benefit from immediately, and then we highlight that on the sales page. So not only do you get immediate access because it's a digital product, but you're going to get immediate momentum. And that's really important. So now let's talk about number 5. Number 5 is the power of free. Now, this is hard to do for some people because on your digital product, you're obviously selling something. I advise people never give away your best information for free. Always charge for it. There's so many different reasons for this. I don't like lead magnet funnels. I don't like, hey, opt in and I'll give you this, because now you've just set the precedent that your information that is valuable is worth nothing, or at least you're able to give it away for free. So I don't love giving away like real outlined information for free because people don't use it. There's literally no investment on their end, so therefore they're not going to use the information. So how do we use power of free? I like using that in making my bonus stack, the free things they get when they buy. I like making that highlightable. So I want to make sure that they realize, whoa, like bonus number 1, I would pay that money just to get that, right? That's the way that I look at my bonuses, is like, yeah, I've got this main product. I spent my whole sales page telling you about it, but I know in your mind, you were like, well, I wonder if he does this. And so I'm adding that in as a bonus. That's going to be part of my bonus stack. And I want to make sure that I highlight the things that you're getting free when you join. Again, it's really easy to look at e-commerce examples of this. I myself got caught in a power of free example not long ago. I was on a website buying workout shorts from a company called Barbell Apparel. And it was probably somewhere in December. I was buying workout clothes, and they had a deal where if you spent $90 or $110 something, that you would get a free $90 hoodie. And I looked at that and I'm like, wow, you know, that hoodie looks cool. Didn't need it. It's not even this one. Like, it was a totally different one that I've only worn once. But I added things to my cart to get that free item, right? So that's kind of the example that we're looking at, is I was willing to spend more money to get that other thing for free. Well, in digital products, we can do the same thing. Our bonuses should be the thing that they are willing to pay for, even if the main thing didn't exist. That's a really good way to use power of free. Now let's hop into number 4, which is called category heuristics. Now, this can be complicated for most people. It's actually really easy to do. It's just we don't do it a lot when we're writing copy. Category heuristics is basically, we want to look at this as like really short summaries of action items that we can word in a way that makes it very, very easy to understand. So instead of saying, again, we see this in the physical space. I'll give you a great example. I have something right here. This is a Liquid Death 100 milligram caffeine energy water. And on the back of it, it says, feels like a coffee, not an electric chair. That is a great example of like a borderline heuristic where they're not telling me exactly how many milligrams of caffeine is in it. The normal thing that you and I tend to do is we'll go 100 milligrams of caffeine. Well, that's hard to compute in my mind. Like, how much is that? Because we're going, okay, so how much caffeine is in a cup of coffee? I don't quite know. So it's like 100 milligrams. Is that more than a cup? I don't know what it means. Instead, you use phrases that are easily relatable to an anchor, right? So feels like a coffee, not an electric chair. We know we don't want the electric chair. We know we do want coffee. So it's got that much caffeine in it. So we can do that all over our sales page. We can say things like, get results 3 times faster. This AI system is 5 times more powerful than X. So using phrases throughout our sales page that have a very reliable anchor, right? So he ran twice as fast as a car going the speed limit in a school zone. Things that we can kind of like, okay, I get that. Instead of saying he went 48 miles an hour, right? We can say he went 2 miles an hour slower than you go on the highway. Things like that. We want to relate our topics, our talking points, our bullets, when we can, relate them to an anchorable subject that our mind doesn't have to think much about. We're just relating it to something that we do know about. So if you're teaching people how to swim, you might say something to the effect of, half as fast as an Olympic athlete. We can kind of get like, okay, that's where that is. We just want to have this like solid anchor that we can go at. And I love phrases like 2.4x this. You'll see it all over like software pages. If you ever buy a software, they usually say things like, increase your work capacity by 3.8x. Those multiples that you see, those are almost always a heuristic, which just makes it easier. So you'll see on bank accounts when they're advertising, our savings account generates 1.8x the normal savings account. They're not telling you we pay 5.4% interest because that's not anchorable. We don't know, what does everybody else pay? Oh, we just know you pay more. Got it. That's easy to relate to. So category heuristics, you can do that anytime you have a stat, anytime you're trying to share the power of something, try to see, can you relate it to something else that is anchorable? You kind of see this a lot when people are justifying prices. They'll say for less than the cost of Netflix. That's kind of running in that same capacity. 1 coffee a day, right? So it's these sort of numbers that we can sort of relate to. That brings me to number 3. Now, these next 3 are the seminal cognitive biases that you want to have on your sales page all over the place. These are the ones that are going to affect conversion the most. The prior 3, they are definitely going to help, but they are not as powerful as the next 3. And I had a really tough time numbering these in order. So these are kind of interchangeable, which one could be first, second, and third. I do think the one that I'm going to tell you guys as number 1 is likely the number 1 mover. You might argue with me on that, but let's talk about number 3. Number 3 is social proof. A lot of people watching this might think that social proof is number 1. I don't see it that way. We have a lot of offers that I have worked on personally that have absolutely 0 social proof. In fact, most of the people that come to us in Syndicate, which is the platform where we build your offer for you, almost all of them are starting with minimal to no social proof. Now, the main topic that I want to cover here is social proof is done typically in 4 stages. Way too often, people are relying only on the final 2 stages for social proof. So I'm going to start with those 2 and then we'll back up. The main social proof that you typically see, let's say I'm teaching you how to build a digital business. I'm teaching you how to build your own low-ticket digital product, which is what we do. A lot of people would say they would only show testimonials on their page of people who've made hundreds of thousands of dollars. That actually overlooks a lot of the mental fear that people have. And again, it triggers a conscious thought of like, well, they did it, they must have some advantage because that's a lot of money, right? There are 4 very good stages of social proof. The very first one is showing social proof of the action itself, the very first step, pre-onboarding. So I'll give you a really great example. In a lot of my offers, we have a Facebook group. And so people will come into the Facebook group and they'll say things that are very basic that aren't like real testimonials. They'll say, I'm so happy I got access to this. This is an amazing system. I just got in. I'm so happy I finally took that step. Highlight those because that's the number 1 fear that's going to stop somebody from getting in is like, can I get an immediate benefit from this? When you highlight for people that somebody else joined, and when they joined, they got the result. Some boost, some momentum. It does a lot for that first mindset that's going to stop people, which is like, oh man, am I going to have to put in a lot of work, blah, blah. Well, here's an example of somebody who was just super happy that they got it in the first place. I actually learned a lot of this from looking at book reviews. So one of the things that we do when we are building digital products for people is I go and I look at their competitors in the book space when it comes to bestsellers on Amazon. And the reason for that is because they're also selling information. We can learn a lot from the reviews of like, what benefit are people getting from this book? We want to make sure our digital product hits on those same things. So as you're reading 5-star reviews on Amazon, you'll notice that a lot of people are commenting that they're just happy they got the book. They're not happy they went through it. They're not saying they're happy because their life changed. They're happy because they got the book. It felt good. So we want to highlight any of those that we can. That is a step 1 social proof format. Social proof works so well, and I guess I should talk about this. It works so well because people subconsciously are always willing to do what other people are doing. Like it or not, we like to do things that have already been proven to benefit somebody else. So if there's a lot of other people doing something, I want to do that. Now, there's a million different ways you can highlight social proof. One is like a quote from somebody. One is a testimonial. You could tell a story, case study. Another way is just to show like your review rating. 4.8 out of 5 stars. That in and of itself, if you think about any ordering app that you go on Uber with, that's social proof. Seeing how other people rate the quality of what they got. Doesn't have to be individual case studies or testimonials. Another big thing that I really want to talk about, and I'll finish the 4 different types of social proof, is that, social proof, I think a lot of people think it's like, it's got to be video, it's got to be this, it's got to be super advanced. It really can be very, very basic. It can be a one-liner, and it doesn't have to be like, some 5-minute video. So let's just quickly kind of finish out the multiple different kinds of social proof so that you guys understand this and realize when you're very first starting, you can ask 20 people. I did this with my very first product. I went into a Facebook group. It's called South Tampa Dads. So I'm here in Tampa. I went into a South Tampa Dads group and I just said, hey, dads, I'm doing this. I'd love some feedback from some people. I want to give you free access. All I want in return is a little quote of what you thought. I got like 18 people to say they would do it. Now, out of those 18, you got to follow up with all of them and you might get a quote from 4. But at least you're starting with some social proof. And so the very first kind is, I'm happy I got access. That's a really good piece of social proof to put on your sales page. The second is, I'm happy I got access and I've started and I'm already seeing some momentum. And that's again, why that power of now example that I gave you of like one first step that they can go learn from, or maybe that's an assessment where they can figure themselves out a little bit and see where they stand in the space. Those are really important because then gives them a benefit immediately. It might not change their life. If your program is a, lose 20 pounds in 60 days program, they're not going to lose that 20 pounds in day 1, but can you give them something that makes them feel momentum? And so in that kind of a program, you might have them diary out every calorie that they're eating over the next 5 days. Now they've got this baseline of like, whoa, I had no idea that thing had so many calories in it. That seems like I can understand how to, maneuver through this now. So they've gotten a benefit pretty much right away. And they might even say, man, I'm only 5 days in and I just realized I've got 2,000 extra calories every week that I can substitute very easily. This is amazing. I had no idea to like pull these levers, right? They're not saying I lost a bunch of weight. They're just saying like, oh, wow, this program gave me the clarity to do that. So that's another reassurance. We call that the onboarding social proof. So you're actually getting social proof through people who are just going through that onboarding phase. The next 2 are kind of the same. I kind of bundled them together, but realistically, these are like first progress and then big progress. So this is what you typically see on a sales page. Somebody who made their first sale, somebody who lost 5 pounds, somebody who, had a better conversation with their wife. Like they're actually pushing the real momentum of the program. These are obviously going to be heavy lifters. These are going to be the ones that probably get more people to purchase from you than, some of the basic ones, but it is important to have all 4 of them. So, first sale, first weight lost, first this, kind of first momentum. And then we get the big ones. Then we get the like, okay, cool. I made $100,000. We have on one of our sales pages, a 10K club where we highlight all the members who went through our program and made at least $10,000. We have a little video from them and we call it the 10K club. Now there's 2 reasons it's the 10K club and not the 100K club, right? 100K club, less people will be in it. It's not that impressive. 10K club also feels achievable. If you told people we've got a 100K club, most people are going to be like, well, I don't know if I'm ready to hit that yet. Their own subconscious kind of kicks in and says, well, 100,000 is a lot of money, dude. So we like one that's a little bit more achievable for that testimonial sort of baseline. So social proof, obviously hugely important. don't just sprinkle it all over your sales page. I see these mistakes all the time. Somebody makes a sales page that is literally just all social proof, and influencers, people who have big followings on social media, they're very, very guilty of this. They're probably the worst. They just make sales pages that are all testimonials, but their testimonials are of course going to be good because their followers, you could have sold them a freaking mason jar full of crap and they would be like, this is the best ever, I can't believe this. So yes, that sort of ruins a sales page in my opinion, because when I'm looking at what they actually say, I can kind of tell these are just fanboys saying whatever you want them to say. So it is what it is though. Obviously a lot of influencers get away with it, but that ends up kind of handcuffing them a little bit, or I guess they use it as a crutch and they don't write very good sales copy. And no, I'm not even kidding. I see people who are selling offers on how to write better sales copy that has terrible sales copy. And all they're doing is boosting these testimonials of people who are like, this was the best, I changed this and my offer was so great. Of course, they're going to say that because they like you. You have a following. I don't love those kind of sales pages. All right, social proof. I've kind of beaten that one to death. Let's get into authority. Authority is a really, really important one. And there are 3 kinds of authority that you can use on a sales page. Authority piece number 1 is earned or learned authority. This is going to be the most powerful. In my opinion, it is absolutely the most powerful. This is, I went through this journey, I did it the hard way, I came out the other side, having learned all this stuff. I'm going to help you bypass all of that and just give you the best of the best. This is earned or learned authority. This is where you get your hero's journey. This is where you tell people how all of this came about. Now, a lot of people are trying to build offers these days in what we call faceless niches, where you don't put your face out there. You're not telling people this is my story. You're just sort of saying like, hey, here's this really good product. So that's where we get into what I call borrowed authority. Borrowed authority is, let's say, I have a sleep product called Sleep Safari. That sleep product, I have a little bit of a story of my own in there because I did use the product on my own kids and it helps them get to sleep. But it was all based off of science. So I used AI to build this digital product that was all based on real studies. So instead of having all these abstract studies out there, some from Harvard, some from Yale, some from, Stanford, all this, each one sharing a little bit of a cool technique, but not organized in a way where it's like, here's how to implement this, right? The study just says, if you do this technique, it does show that it improves sleep. So how do we use it? Give me the full details on the actual technique. Unless you want to read 1,000-page studies, I took all of that information and we summarized it in an action step so we could actually give parents of like, hey, these are all proven techniques. Here's how to do them. Here's a script you can read your kid at night to walk them through, and this is how it works. So on my sales page, I mentioned that all of these techniques were built by these big studies, right? So I'm actually leveraging their authority, not having to have my own. I don't have to say that I am a sleep expert. I'm saying, look at all this information over here. This proves what I'm teaching now. I've summarized it for you. Here's an easy way to get it. You can do that on offers that have your face on them. I do it all the time, right? We call it this is sort of like the big guru effect. So anytime you can leverage somebody else who said what you say, anybody else who's using your method. Authority, a lot of times you'll see it on sales pages where it shows like a list of logos of like who is using this or who we've worked with or, those sort of logo, that sort of deal. That's all for authority. So that's why it's on almost every single page. Now, when you're first starting out, you don't have articles in Forbes as seen on, and you're not an entrepreneur magazine yet. So we leverage it in a different way. We just go, okay, where's this information from? Can we get any big guru, Stanford, Harvard, or a big influencer who's said the same thing or said something that could benefit us? Can we put that on the sales page? That would be really beneficial to us. We don't have to ask them for permission because they said it publicly. We're just using a quote from them and then tying our thing into it. We're not saying that they support our method. We're just saying, look, they tell people to do this. I'm giving you that. And that's a really kind of a powerful thing that we can leverage. The last kind of authority is something I call proximal authority. So this is somebody who's near you, around you, in some way close to you in a sense, whose story you can tell. So, maybe you're telling a client story, maybe you're telling a friend who went through this hard thing and then they came out the other side and then you realize like, whoa, there's something really cool there. And then you work together with that person and you came up with this program. So proximal authority works really, really well. I would say authority and social proof are an easy swappable 2 and 3. Not that the order matters. You should have all 6 of these, but these are the ones that are going to make the biggest change on your sales page. Having a sales page with no authority makes people look at it and go, okay, so where's all this coming from? Like, okay, you got a lot of information. It sounds like a cool thing, but like, how do we know it's viable? Find some articles out there that benefit you in showing on your sales page, show those headlines, and that becomes authority. And what's great is as you guys go through life after this, you should notice that a lot of these sales pages that you're going to be looking at, they all have these aspects, and now you can identify why did they put that headline there? Oh, that adds authority to what they're saying. It gives them backup benefit to prove that what they're teaching me right now is viable. So right now, AI is a huge thing. You're going to see a bunch of people leveraging, quotes from news articles that says like, so-and-so fires 5,000 employees, right? That is authority saying like, whoa, if Amazon's firing 5,000 employees because AI is taking over the jobs, it must be real, right? So we're getting that authority that way. Lastly, the number one most important, in my opinion, the number one most important, especially as it relates to low ticket digital products or digital products in general, is scarcity. Now, scarcity has been misconstrued way too many times in the online space. It does not mean what most people think it means. Scarcity in a mindset versus scarcity of your offer are two very, very different things. Now, the reason I think it's the number one most important aspect of a sales page is because we have millions of decisions to make every single day. You and I are making decisions constantly. You're making a decision right now to keep watching the rest of this video, and I hope that you do. And I hope that in that decision, you also decide to like and comment on this video because it helps me realize that you're actually watching, and that would be huge. It's like my oxygen. The more likes and comments I get, the more of this stuff I want to share with you guys, so make sure you do that. But the decisions that we have to make throughout our day, we get decision fatigue because we're making thousands of them all the time. Anytime that we can kick a decision off for later, we do it. We do it subconsciously. And that's the thing. We need a reason to make a decision right now. And with evergreen low ticket offers where you're not going to change the offer, you're not going to limit it to 1,000 people, you're not going to increase price all the time. How do we add scarcity? So there's a couple of staple ways we do it depending on what kind of offer you have. You can limit the quantity of what you're selling. So I do this all the time when we do our turbo boosts, which is, I call it that because it's a short-term boost in revenue, but not something that we can do all the time. When we do a turbo boost, we will limit to 100 people, 200 people. I'll make sure that my limit is higher than what I plan on achieving. That way, if I actually hit 200, great. I'll shut this thing down for a little bit and we'll come back to it later. You can limit quantity and then you can also limit time, right? So time is a really great one where you can say, hey, we're only leaving this open until Monday. One of my favorite offers to run is I'll do a special promo where I bundle a couple of my things together and we'll launch on Thursday. We'll promote Friday, Saturday, close it down on Sunday. Here's the thing. With a bundle offer, with any kind of offer, if you don't tell people they're about to miss out on this thing, they're going to put that decision off and they're going to go, okay, I can get it later. I can get it later. I don't have to start right now. A big reason that I see so many people failing with their offers is because they have no real scarcity, no reason for somebody to say, I need to drop everything and open my credit card and buy this right now. And with evergreen offers, it's hard to do, right? Because we're not limiting the number of people. We're not saying it's closed on Sunday because it's going to be open forever. So my favorite type of scarcity on digital products, especially evergreen ones, is opportunity scarcity. What are they missing out on if they don't get access now? What does life look like in a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks? And I want to paint the picture of what it looks like with my product and what it looks like without my product, because I want them to understand making the decision right now is crucial and that you might not see this again. Now, I can add all kinds of other scarcity in my follow-up series. So one of the things I love doing is doing a 7-day follow-up series. And on day 7, I'll send 2 emails. And the last email says, this is my last email. And inside it says, this is the last time I'm going to tell you about this. And it is. It's the last email that they get in that series that reminds them they should get access right now. So that's a good way to add some scarcity to it as well. But when we see offers that are failing, they most often are missing at least one, most likely 3 to 5 of these cognitive biases. And what's happening is your viewer, the person, the prospect on your page is looking at your page and they're not being forced to make a decision. They don't feel like this information has any real authority behind it. They're kind of just like, okay, I don't really know. There's no social proof showing that other people have done this, so why should I go the route that you told me? It's not really easy to understand what the benefit is because there's no 2x better, 5x better, 2.5 times faster, whatever. It doesn't look like the bonuses are all that strong, so nothing's pulling me in on those. And it doesn't, really reiterate to me in a really powerful way that I can get started and get a benefit right now. Now, if you add these, you're going to see a stark improvement on the conversion of your offer. So as you're going through, just look at the opportunities to be able to add this. Where can I talk about the fact that when they get access now, this is what the timeline is going to look like and how quickly they could be getting a result? How can I make sure that I highlight my bonuses better so that they sound like they're worth buying all by themselves? What area of my sales page can I give a lift to in a comparison of like, it's 2 times better than this or 10 times better than that? that, or 10x better results? Where can I highlight social proof? So even if I'm talking about somebody getting started, can I highlight some social proof there of other members who were happy they got started? And then we get into authority. Where throughout my offer can I show some authority? Now, you'll see a lot of people mixing these. So you might have social proof and authority together. Now, if you get a big celebrity to endorse your product, that's authority and it's social proof. Therefore, you're getting a little bit of a lift. So can we get some authority and social proof together? Can we get a category heuristic with some authority, right? This authority member said, man, this was 2 times better than this, right? So it's kind of mixing and matching some of these. And when you start doing that, when you start mixing them and matching them together, that makes these even more powerful, because now you're getting like 3 of these elements in one sentence versus having to have them all separate. So again, just to kind of go over them: power of now, power of free, category heuristics, social proof, authority, and scarcity. Make sure you guys add all of these to your offer. And if you liked this video, the #1 thing that I would ask you to do, yes, you should share this with somebody else who's also building digital products. That would be great. But mostly just make sure you guys subscribe, because I'm going to be making more videos about this, helping you actually build your offer through real tactics, sales psychology, and the systems that I am building behind the scenes 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I will tell you this to leave off. Below this video, you guys are going to see where you can get access to our paid creator system. It is the system that I've created that encompasses all of this material. And the cool part about it is it's not a big training program. It's mostly tools that you're going to use with AI to get the benefit that you want. So even looking at these category heuristics, we have an entire training built up on these. It's built in a PDF format. You literally download the PDF, upload it to AI, give AI your offer, and give AI that document and say, hey, how can I mix in these category heuristics? Bam, it'll give you some ideas. So I wanted to create a system that's way built more on action than it is on education. I don't want you to have to learn everything that it's taken me 15 years to learn. Nowadays with AI, you don't have to do that. Now what you can do is take the information in PDF format, upload it to AI so it now knows all this information, and now you can actually have it kind of act as your marketing coach. So I urge you guys, check out the links in our description. Make sure you guys subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.